Hi, everyone. Welcome. Welcome back from lunch. Hope you had a good break. Got to get up and stretch for a minute. I need just 1 minute to check off some settings, make sure that everything is in place. So take a minute while you're here. Got it. We're gonna share that screen. Okay. Okay, the good news is my screen is sharing. The bad news is I lost my Zoom. So I just need 1 sec to find y'all again and then we'll get started. Well, there you are. I found it. Fun with buttons today. Hey, I'm proud of myself. That only took me 60 seconds. Yay. Welcome everyone to this session. This is Playful Pathways, teaching foundational literacy skills using developmentally appropriate interactions. You'll see here at the bottom listed are all of the preschool specialist names, because this is a presentation with content that we've all three developed, but because we're dividing and conquering today you get me. Yay! And then Jared and Christina are around too if we want to haul them in at some point, or it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't know where my thoughts are going. Focused. All right. Couple things to note as we do our session today. This is a very content-heavy session. So typically I like to do more conversation, more back and forth. But having presented some of this content before, it turns out it's really just like spitting out as much information as I can. So please make use of the chat and hop in there to make comments if you would like, or to share ideas. There also, at the bottom of your screen, there's the resources tab. And if you click the resources tab and you find the links, you'll see there are 2 links. One of them says conference resources. That one goes to a Padlet, it's website landing page that we've set up where all of the resources from the conference will be. For this session right now, nothing is uploaded there yet, but it will be later. So that's where one of it is. And then the second one is called the brainstorm board. I've set up a lucid chart online so that you can go over there, and then as we're talking, or as I'm talking, you can be putting in ideas. I would love to have this lucid board be just full of like, I like to try this, or this is one thing I've liked to do, to really get us an opportunity to be a little more playful. I've organized the lucid chart into skills, literacy skills, and I've color coded it because for those of you who know me, I can't live life without color coding everything. So I've color coded it, and you just grab a square from the lucid chart and move it over and then type your idea in. Okay, before we get started, is there anyone here who would like ASL interpreter? We have an interpreter available. She's just trying to figure out how to join backstage. Oh, and I should probably put that in the chat, huh? Yeah, it's probably a good idea. Oh, yep, it says yes. Oh, and Teresa says, great. Okay, never mind. I don't need to put it in the chat. Thank you, everyone, for accommodating me. Okay. The interpreter will join just in a few minutes. She's just figuring out where to settle in our physical space. That is a good spot for her to be able to do that. And Jennifer, I see your raised hand. If possible, if you could put whatever you need in the chat, or I'll just go with taken care of. Okay, so let's get started. Playful pathways. So what are we going to do today? First, I just right out of the gate, I have to tell you all, uh, there are a lot of pictures and videos of my own kids because it's really easy to get permission to share them. And also, it was really easy for me when I was their mom to be like, oh my gosh, you just did that literacy skill, and like snap a video of it or snap a picture of it. So this picture right here is my oldest kid when they were 4 or 5, I can't remember. They wore this Wonder Woman costume probably every single day. And we went to the library, and I just love this picture of Wonder Woman. But here's what we're doing. We're going to first start with like a shared understanding of some of these concepts. So if you have done a Playful Pathways session with me before, some of this shared understanding content is going to be a review. I'll try not to dive too deep into things that we've talked about before, but I also don't want to leave everybody behind. We're going to review these shared understandings, and then we're going to get into playful practice of like, what does it mean? What does it look like to do these things that are often presented to us as really good theories or really good ideas, and yet we don't really dig into like, what does that look like in the classroom? All right, so one of the first things we have to have a shared understanding of is just some of the terminology we're going to use today, especially in early childhood spaces. There's a lot of like acronyms, and sometimes we say something and we don't mean what the other person said. So here's some of the terms we're going to use today and how I am going to be using them. So when I say ECE, or early childhood education, or early care and education, we're talking about the age group birth through age 8. Developmental stages, those are periods of expected progress, and those are marked by milestones. Explicit instruction is your intentional, planned, thoughtfully teaching. Does not have to be in whole group. If I am doing an instruction with a child one-on-one and I'm teaching them like how to hold their spoon, if that is something I intended to do because I knew they didn't know how to hold their spoon, well, then I am doing an explicit instruction. And then our age groups for today. I've grouped things by age group because I know all of us cover different age groups. So we've got infant tots, so that's birth through 36 months. Preschool can also be pre-K, PK, pre-kindergarten. Some organizations use TK for transitional kindergarten. It's kids ages 3 through 5. And then K2, kindergarten, first and second grade, and that's your ages 6 through 8. Okay, and then we're going to talk about literacy domains. So the literacy domains are the skills, the areas that you need to build skills in so that you can be literate. If you are literate, you have skills in these 4 areas: reading, writing, speaking, and listening. And you'll notice I highlighted speaking because that is one that I think we often forget about when we think about literacy. Literacy we usually attach to printed word, but speaking and listening are producing language and receiving language. And so it doesn't have to be print on a paper for you to be able to produce and receive language. So that's what we're talking about with our literacy today. Okay, so let's talk about brains for a second. Early childhood brains. You've probably heard babies are born with all the neurons they'll ever have. Brain development is when you are creating connections between those neurons. That technical term for it, synapses. Can this neuron connect to this one when I pick my hand up or when I put it down? And if you've ever watched a baby discover they have hands, that is them developing that connection between their neurons. It's rapid. It happens really fast. There is this fun fact floating around out there that says 90% of a brain is developed by age 5. And that is a little bit of a misleading fact. The growth of the physical brain, your actual matter inside your head, is about 90% of your adult size at age 5. So the actual physical thing inside your head is grown, but brain development, you're making those synapse connections, those continue throughout your entire life. Now, it's not always the same rate, and it's not always the same ease. As you'll notice, I keep forgetting words today because some of my synapses are having a hard time firing. So it changes with age or content. But that's the main idea there. All right. So then if that's the case and we're teaching and we've got all of these things around us about like what we should teach and how we should help brains develop, what are we supposed to teach? Well, there's two things we really need to be aware of when we are teaching early childhood, birth through age 8. And for us, those are, whoa. Sorry, my other screen's turning off. It says I'm still sharing though, so I'm just gonna go, it's fine. Somebody drop in the chat if you can't, if my screen disappears. But anyway, we've got two different things that we're aware of as we're teaching. You've got to have your developmental milestones. Those are things that, those are those skills that they're going to naturally learn how and also can be supported to develop as they learn to speak and behave and move in their environment. Then you've got standards. And standards are developed by people who like whoever like, I feel like we should develop some standards. They are developed by people. And those establish like a shared understanding, kind of like I did before, of what we expect children to actively be taught and actively learn. What skills should they acquire? So milestones are like typical general growth. Standards are almost more for the adult, really, than they are for the child, because it's an understanding for you, the adult, of the child's needs for growth and the expectations for where we expect them to maybe start the year and end the year. Okay, so then let's talk about individualized instruction, where we mentioned before explicit instruction. Explicit instruction is really important to be planned, thought out. What is it that we're doing? And then we want to individualize it and make sure that we're doing. I am so sorry. This is not good. I'm sorry. I have to stop sharing for 1 second. All the technology just freaked out on me. And things turned off and then they turned back on. Let's see. I would like to share this again. Okay, can somebody please give me a thumbs up in the chat if my slideshow is back? Thank you. Okay. Mercy. That technology turning off was not on my bingo card of things that could go wrong today. It's okay. Okay, so individualized instruction. When you're thinking about explicit, then we're also thinking about we're teaching to that child in that moment. Personally, I hate sitting through instruction and I'm like, I already know this. Why are you teaching me this? Please teach me something new. And I think children especially are like, why are you teaching me this? I love that look they get you when they're like, yeah, that's common knowledge. Why would you repeat yourself? Whoops, sorry, okay, I'll move on. So when we're thinking about instruction for students, we want to know, like, we're acknowledging differences in learning. They're going to learn in different places, in different ways, at different paces. We want to meet the needs of our students. Moving away from that one size fits all. One of my favorite quotes is, programs don't teach, teachers do. If you've got a program and the program tells you, say this and then this and then this, I would love to look at that and be like, yes, thank you for those suggestions. And then how can I use this to better teach my students the way that I know they need to be taught? Programs are meant to support you because you are the expert in your students. And then adjust your teaching to match the learning of the students. Okay, so from Letters Early Childhood, and I refer to Letters Early Childhood frequently during this presentation because it is the commonly used knowledge amongst our educators at this time. There are other sources out there, science of reading sources and research, lots, all excellent stuff. This is the one that's common lingo right now, so that's why I refer to Letters EC. But Letters Early Childhood. The hallmark of developmentally appropriate teaching is intentionality. If you are doing the process of thinking about your students, guiding your instruction to best meet their needs, then what you are doing is developmentally appropriate. For some kids, that might look like sitting down and having a conversation. It could look like a small group of 3 and they're an opportunity to talk to each other. Some people, I actually learn pretty well through lecture. So for some people, lecture is a pretty good format. But for a lot of people, especially our kids, tactile, hands-on, getting in there, practicing, experimenting. So as a metric for yourself, is what I'm doing developmentally appropriate? Well, am I being intentional? Am I thinking about it? All right, that's our big picture of early childhood and some big concepts. Now we're going to dive into literacy specific. This is a big buzzword. We all know, and are you developing literate students? Are your students literate? What's the literacy crisis? Let's talk about literacy specific. So again, from letters EC, we've got these predictive indicators of early learning so that when we want a child to be able to develop in these learning domains that are on the left side of this chart, we are measuring these predictive indicators. So I want to know if a child is if I'm meeting their needs in health and physical, in the health and physical domain. I look at how that child is doing on their executive functioning, on their visual spatial skills, and on their precision and movement. And I'm going to pause for like 10 seconds and see what you notice about that right column. If there's anything that stands out. And if you are able to type what stands out to you in the chat, awesome. There's something the same about all of those. You got it. Every single one has executive functioning. Yep. Executive functioning is unique in early childhood in the way that it is so critical for us to support and develop it because of the way that it impacts all the other learning. And if we can support and help children develop executive functioning, even if they are like not able to name all of the alphabet letters at the time that we think they did, but they have good persistence, they're going to be more successful later. What's very interesting is the study on universal pre-K out of Boston. They studied these kids, long-term study. They were all offered preschool, and how did they do later in life? And their academic measures of like math and science and reading didn't really show a difference. But their executive functioning, the children who had preschool, huge difference in their executive functioning. It's fascinating. And they're more likely to like go to college or pursue their career or anyway, I could go on about that, and that's not even in my slide notes. So let's move on. When you see the term, the science of reading, just in general, if you're able to, again, to type it in the chat, do you have a positive or a negative association? With the science of reading? Yeah, some positive, some mixed. I definitely have some mixed feelings about the term, the science of reading, because on the one hand, I know that there's a lot to it that is good. And on the other hand, the teacher, kindergarten teacher in me is like, what program do you want me to implement now? What is it you're expecting me to do? So hopefully after we talk today, this will be more on that positive side, give you some more positive anchors to think of. Instead of just the science of reading, we're going to think more about the cognitive, neuro, and psycholinguistic science of what happens in the brain while reading skills are developing. So we're going to be a little bit of neurologists today. What is going on up here and what connections are being made up here that makes it possible for us to look at words on a page and turn those into communication delivered and received. That's what's going on when we think about the science of reading. And if you want to do a deep dive into this process, Marianne Wolf is an amazing author, and I loved her book, Read or Come Home. It's fascinating what she talks about. But pretty much what we are big picture trying to do is we are trying to develop communicators. Can a child communicate by writing, reading? Can they speak or produce language? And can they listen or receive language? And if that is all four of those are a yes, then we did it. We did the science of reading. So in our ages and stages, what makes a communicator? These three things are linked here in the slides. They will also be in the resources when we send them out. But the documents that we want to refer to when we're wondering, like, what should I be teaching? What makes a communicator? We've got the Birth to 3 standards, which were informed by and align with the early learning standards for preschool. And then the bottom link you'll notice is the P12 literacy standards. As standards are revised by the Board of Education and approved, they are aligned preschool through 12th, beginning with the literacy standards. The math standards are being prepared right now. And so all of these learning standards, as they are updated, you'll see will, instead of being K-12, will all be P-12. So you'll be able to look at it and go, oh, in 3rd grade, they learned this, which was building on in 2nd grade and 1st grade and kinder and all the way back. All right, so that's early learning and a little bit of the big picture of learning. Now let's talk about just literacy. Literacy has predictive skills, and these are not the only skills in literacy by any means. However, what they found is if you measure a child in these areas at the end of preschool and they are doing well, they are more likely to show as doing as having high literacy in 3rd grade. So if we're like, I just need to know baseline what I should be doing to support children, this is where you start. So we're going to look at the predictive skills, which are oral language or vocabulary development, phoneme isolation, and we're going to talk about phonological awareness, phoneme isolation, and then letter naming fluency. And then I put plus writing at the bottom because that's not technically an indicator skill, but it like overlaps with pretty much everything. So we'll talk a little bit about writing. We're going to go through each of these predictive skills. We're going to talk about infant TODS, preschool, and K2. And this is where that lucid chart is really going to come in handy. And I hope you all have the ability to pull it up somehow. Because as we talk about shared understanding, we're going to view some examples. That teaching strategies is where I think you all are actually the more valuable resource. You can get all of the ideas you want out of my head, but that's still only whatever I have in my head. But we've got a whole bunch of people in this webinar, and if we can all be sharing ideas of this is my favorite way to practice oral language with infants, or this is my favorite activity to do for writing for preschoolers, I think we'll have at the end this nice big brainstorm board of all of these things that we could do. So, to continue with my theme of the garden, plant, nourish, bloom, each of these stages we might be planting, just like, this is what reading is. Children, this is what a book is. And we're just doing repeated over and over exposure to the skill. We might be nourishing, providing plenty of opportunities to practice, or we might be watching it bloom, watching those skills grow, and celebrating the growth, and then continuing what comes next. So plant, nourish, bloom. And if you want to take a minute to scan that QR code, that will take you to the lucid chart. Okay, move ahead. So first, we're going to talk about oral language and vocabulary development. I love this. Language we can't understand by listening is language we cannot understand by reading. And I like to think of that listening as just like receptive, receiving it. If you are using some kind of language and I don't know how to interpret it when it comes in, then I cannot interpret it on a paper. I cannot interpret it in print. So reading fluency takes about 6 years to develop, and it's really dependent on oral language. Now, I know oral language is going to develop differently, and so we're going to do some really generalized information here, really heavy on speaking and listening. Just know that in the back of my head, I'm knowing like, not all children speak and listen. Yep, got it. For another presentation or another discussion. So let's take a look at oral language development in infants and toddlers. First is that receptive development. This kid on the left is my Wonder Woman kid when they were 2 years old. And I loved this. I took this picture and sent it to Dad, and Dad looked at it, and then this is what he captioned it as. Apparently, I have an influence on my daughter. Who knew? But she was being Dad at work. So she's got her laptop, she's got her phone right there next to her knee, and her little cup. And then she would like every few minutes, she'd move the mouse around, and then she'd go, "Oh, come on." Or, "Why don't you do this?" And that's what she had seen him do so many times that she was like, this is how you work on the computer. Lots of receptive happening. And it's a really good opportunity to build a ton of vocabulary, using a word over and over again in a variety of contexts, giving them an opportunity to hear it, to play with it, to experiment with it. If you think about if you've ever tried to learn a language other than your home language, I've been trying to learn Spanish for 20 years now, and I still am not good at it. The hardest part, for me at least, is not having opportunities to practice or to speak it. And then I know, especially when I go to use it, try to speak Spanish with a native Spanish speaker, I'm like, I'm so sorry. I don't know that vocabulary word, or I'm not pronouncing it right. I just know it. And you're like scared and intimidated. We can be a safe space for kids to practice language and figure out how to use it. And if we can do that, then we give them this way of like adopting and incorporating and pulling in that oral language, that vocabulary. All right, so on the right side, we're going to watch this video. I pulled this off of Instagram, but then I put underneath a link for the song and the words on YouTube. It's not this person singing, but you can find the song and the words on YouTube so you can sing along if you want to.
This is big, big, big. This is small, small, small. This is short, short, short. This is tall, tall, tall. This is fast, fast, fast. This is slow, slow, slow. This is yes, yes, yes. This is no, no, no. This is up, up, up. This is down, down, down. This is square, square, square. This is round and round. This is left, left, left. This is right, right, right. This is give a big hug and a kiss. Good night. Good night.
Okay. Love that video. So cute. And I am going to hope that everyone could hear it. Someone say something if the sound wasn't sharing, but I hope it was. This little baby isn't going to be able to sing that song back. But the more the mom does that as their bedtime routine, now they're getting positional words, they're getting movement in. I mean, this baby's learning up, down, left, right, fast, slow. So much rich context there. And the baby is learning that when my mom does this with their voice, it means something. When I do this with my hands, that means something. They're attaching meaning to what's happening, what they're receiving in their eyes. All right, so now oral language in preschool. What do we do next? Preschoolers come, most of them have like a good sense of general vocabulary word. What do we do next? Well, now we need to have a visual and a sound associated to the learning. So that's why we do like A looks like this, lowercase a looks like this, and it makes the sound and we attach like alligator to it. You've got to be pairing those. The one thing I will tell you is don't use flashcards. Don't rely on flashcards. Use them sparingly. Use flashcards sparingly. Because if you're doing A, apple, B, bear over and over again, and you're never stopping to help the kids understand that that letter means and starts bear, if that isn't explicitly taught, it isn't a natural thing for kids to just catch on to that. So be careful with your phonological impaired associative learning, seeing things, labeling things. Make sure you're being really clear about letters make sounds and those sounds have meaning. Intentional interaction is vital to language development. And then I love these 3 things from the Marzano Institute on language acquisition. I learned this when I was developing my skills to teach English as a second or third or fifth language. There are 3 things that a person, any person, needs to be able to do with a word in order to say, like, I own that word. That's part of my vocabulary. And so I would often think of this with my kindergartners as I'm asking them to be respectful. Well, can they do these 3 things with the word respectful? Because if they can't, then they don't know how to be respectful. But they have to be able to describe it. So it's like this, or it goes with this, or it reminds me of that one time that then they have to be able to represent it visually. And visually means they could draw a picture of it, or it means they could like act it out for you. So if I say, what does respectful mean? They can show me like, it means like I'm not touching my neighbor. It means I'm not going to pick my nose. That's respectful. And then they have to be able to discuss it, have to be able to use it in a sentence or ask and answer questions about it. Good ownership of a word when you're like, this is my word, means that you could say to somebody like, well, what does that mean to you? And maybe you could debate back and forth about the meaning. That's where you really know that a child or anybody has really acquired and knows that word. So that's what we're thinking about in preschool. I've got these 2 pictures here as examples because I saw these in a classroom and they're such good examples of developing higher or less frequently used, we would call it like tier 2 vocabulary with children in that preschool age. Because you notice the kids drew the picture together. They were drawing a layout of a fantasy place that they wanted to live. And then in that corner, the teacher had labeled each picture with the architect, the designer, and the builder. And you're like, oh, okay. And using that word over and over and over again. Oh, now I know what architect, designer, builder, those are all three people that have something to do with like making this house. And then of course she connected that with the block play that they did so that they could get like, oh, architect and builder, those are the people who are doing these things. And designer is the person who did this job. So that's one activity I saw, a great way to build vocabulary. All right, and then in kindergarten, all the way through second grade, we hear a lot, especially in that kindergarten through second grade space, about like, we've got to build comprehension. We've got to help students with their comprehension. How do we practice comprehension? But this, Dr. Hugh Katz, I love the way he said, actually, comprehension is the outcome. So if I have a strong vocabulary, I'm going to have comprehension. Comprehension is your result. So if I have good prior knowledge of this and then I sit down and read this text, I can comprehend it. So as you are thinking about, maybe you've got a child who goes to read a book and they get to the end of the book and you're like, what was that book about? And they just look at you with a blank stare. They need some more background knowledge. They need some more vocabulary, opportunities to digest what's going on in the book to show the comprehension. Okay, I put this picture of quilt in here because one, I think it's adorable, but then two, when you step back, you see these are cats sitting in teacups next to books. But if you zoom in, each cat is made up of a little quilt block, and each book is made up of different quilt blocks. And so your quilt blocks are your prior knowledge and your vocabulary. And as you are putting those together and then you step back, then you get the full picture. Okay. Skill number 2, phonological awareness. And I put these pictures here because phonological awareness, and then you got phonemic awareness and phonological sensitivity and all of these phono words. It's a lot. But the root phono is related to the Greek root for hearing. So when we talk about phonological awareness, this is an auditory practice, and we're practicing hearing. That's why gramophone, megaphone, microphone, telephone, even symphony are all of those auditory practices. So this skill, auditory. Infants and tots, oral language is the foundation of literacy. Great. But how do we get from like, I'm saying words to I can pull those words apart in preschool? Well, we're starting in those infants and tots by planting those seeds, building the idea that these sounds coming out of my mouth mean something, and I can attach these sounds to something that's abstract. So that's why I've got this picture of the farm animals down here, because when you're helping a kid understand, horse says neigh, that's a printed picture of a horse on a page. Is that printed picture saying anything? No, but it's a symbol that represents that thing over there that is making a sound. Or a cow says moo. These are your building blocks to A says ah, and C says k. So cars goes vroom. All of these things, you're like, here's a picture, and this abstract thing can represent something concrete in the world. Phonological processing is that process by which your brain, those synapses, are going back and forth, holding sounds in, and then pulling them up when you need them, and then being able to produce them. So you're perceiving there is a sound, you're interpreting what does it mean, you're storing it, recalling it when you need to, and generating speech in a system of language. And that's all happening in your infants and tots. So next time somebody says, oh, you get to play with babies all day, you can be like, no, I engineer synapses all day. So then in preschool, what are we doing for phonological awareness in preschool? Well, I like to think of this in terms of a bag of cookies. That's why I've got my bag of cookies on this slide. When I'm an infant, there is a bag of cookies, and that is one unit, and that's all I can think about. When I get into that toddler stage, I get to start pulling that apart and I can see that there are different cookies in the bag. That's words. So that bag of cookies, that's all of the blah, blah, blah that's coming out of the caregiver's mouth. Blah, blah, blah. It's all just jumbled together. When I can start separating out words, it's like I can pull out individual cookies, and each individual cookie can be, I like cats. Oh, there's 3 cookies right there. When we get into preschool, now we're getting into syllables. So like I can see that this cookie, if I like break it in half, well, there's like some flour in it and there's like some chocolate chips in it. But then that cookie, if I break it in half, well, there's like the cookie part and then there's like sprinkles on top. And I'm starting to tell the difference between like this chocolate chip cookie and this sprinkle cookie. Very similar, but not exactly the same. They've got different parts to it. That's when you're doing syllables and rhyming. And then you're progressing preschool into kindergarten is when you're getting into individual phonemes. And that's when you're going to start looking at the recipe. Oh, this cookie recipe has flour and sugar and eggs. The same as that one, but in a different ratio. And that one's got cocoa powder and this one doesn't. And so you're pulling apart those individual phonemes. So when you start thinking about phonology or phonological awareness, when people say to you phonemic awareness, phonemic is when you're getting into those individual sounds all the way up there in kindergarten. That's what's happening in preschool. So as I was putting this together, I thought of one of my favorite videos from Sesame Street. And I cut it in half. But this, while you're watching this, think about how this preschool child is learning from this probably second grade child, the concept of taking words into cookies and cookies into their parts.
To here. Down, down, baby, down, down the roller coaster. Sweet, sweet baby, I live. No, 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 no. Start from like this, like this. Grandma, grandma, sick in bed. She called the doctor and the doctor said, let's get the rhythm of the head. Ding dong, let's get the rhythm of the head. Ding dong, let's get the rhythm of the hands. Let's get the rhythm of the hands. Let's get the rhythm of the feet. Let's get the rhythm of the feet. Let's get the rhythm of the hot dog. Go like this, hot dog, kind. Like, do it again, do it again. Okay. Let's get the rhythm of the hot dog. Let's get the rhythm of the hot dog. Put it all together and what do you get? Ding dong. Hot dog. Come on, girls, she's ready! Down, down, baby, down, down the roller coaster. Sweet, sweet baby, I'll never let you go. Chimmy, chimmy, cocoa pie, chimmy, chimmy, pow. Chimmy, chimmy, cocoa pie, chimmy, chimmy, pow. Grandma, grandma, sick in bed. She called the doctor and the doctor said, let's get the rhythm of the head. Ding dong, let's get the rhythm of the head. Ding dong, let's get the rhythm of the hand. Let's get the rhythm of the hand. Let's get the rhythm of the feet. Let's get the rhythm of the feet. Let's get the rhythm of the hot dog. Let's get the rhythm of the hot dog. Put it all together and what do you get? Ding dong. Hot dog. Put it all backwards and what do you get? Hot dog. Ding dong. Yay! Did it very well.
Seriously, I love that video so much. So much good practice happening there. And if it sparked an idea for you, please put it on the Lucid chart. But I love the rhythm here. I love when the older girl stops her and is like, no, 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 no. Like this. And she like shows her. And when she takes her waist to do hot dog, so many good things happening right there. Because then it's like, oh, ah is a sound. That vowel sound is different than it was in ding dong. It's a great one. Lots of good phonological awareness. So I added here nursery rhymes, and then one of my favorite rhyming books, The Rhyming Dust Bunnies. If you can rhyme and teach your kids to distinguish that, like, this ending sound matches that ending sound, and then you can pull that back and, like, this beginning sound matches that beginning sound, and you start to play around with words, any way that you can play with it is going to be sticky, carve a good synapse, and build really good phonological awareness. All right. Whoops. There we go. So now let's talk about phonological awareness in K2. Like, shouldn't they have mastered it by now? We got it? Not necessarily. This is really great. Phonemic awareness skills are being practiced K2. So phonological is that breaking a cookie into syllables. Phonemic awareness is the recipe part, the really small picture of what's going on. Phonemic awareness practice is really important, and it needs to be linked to phonics instruction. And phonics instruction is this symbol makes this sound. So we are taking it out of sound here and attaching it to some printed symbols. I loved this book, the example of pouch, because it's a great one for onset and rhyme. Onset being the first sound and then rhyme being the sound that comes after. So p, ouch. And you can do p, ouch, k, ouch. All kinds of funny rhyming words with that. And then this example, again, from a preschool classroom I saw, if you can decode the preschool word, the preschool word says Royal Theater. And then I love that the teacher translated it at the bottom. But this is starting to make that link of I know and I know royal, and I hear royal, and so they're sounding it out. Invented spelling is the beginning of that good, strong phonics practice. Okay, so then there's this thing that we do that's called nonsense word fluency. And I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, but I would love to do a geeky thought with anybody who wants to discuss it later. Sometimes we, the kindergarten Acadience test, we sometimes are like, all right, sound out and just practice these sounds. Why would we practice it when meaning makes such a big difference? We know we want kids to practice meaning. And this picture, I think, is a really good example of why we do that. So I put into AI, I said, hey, AI, give me a list of words and pictures that go with them that have more than 3 syllables and are complex. And this is what it kicked back. And I laughed. And then I was like, actually, you could read that. On the bottom middle, I can read things to stick. Why can I read that? Why don't I go and instead I say fang? Well, it's because we practice these nonsense combinations that are actually combinations that make meaning when you put them together. ANG or ING by itself is nonsense, but when I put it with something else, it makes meaning. So we're practicing pulling things apart so we can put them back together. And I am not doing well. We're going to click through these last ones a little bit faster. So letter naming fluency. This is where I said be cautious with your flashcards, because drill and kill with flashcards has shown to have no effect or little effect on helping kids be faster at letter naming fluency. However, some practice with flashcards, and then some practice with letters in context, some practice with naming letters that you see in the environment, some practice with writing letters. Combination of practice, that's what improves your fluency. And we want to have improved fluency because that is the executive function that attaches to reading fluency. If I'm reading along and I have to say L, O, E, T, say I can't even break it down and do that. T, t, the slower I have to do it, the more painful it is. I don't want to read. It's so much easier to just go letter. Got it. So that's why we practice some letter naming fluency. So what does that look like, infants and tots? Don't worry, I'm not going to try and sell you on your baby can read. What you can do is plant the seeds, multiple exposures. This picture on this slide, I absolutely adore. This is a friend of mine. Her name is Carrie, and she was holding this little baby, and they were waiting in line for something, and the baby's getting antsy, and Carrie's just like, well, look, here's a sign. Hey, let's point out the letters on this sign. Did you know there's letters on this sign? Hey, there's a flower on this sign. And they just start talking about the sign. That's a great way to start building so that they are developing that, again, that idea of that printed thing over there means something when it comes in here and goes around in here, and then I can reproduce it for language. That's building literacy. Same thing with your word under your picture. You're helping kids understand, yeah, that picture carries meaning, that word carries meaning, and they go together. Okay, preschool. So if we're not doing flashcards, what does letter naming fluency look like? I love these alphabet robots. They're so much fun. And to put them all in a bin, I've seen so many teachers sit down with this bin and they just start manipulating and they're like, what's that? You found R. Wow. Really good rapid practice. These posters I saw in a classroom, they were like, let's practice D. They just had the poster out in the writing center and kids would go and practice writing D. That's not really connected to anything. They're practicing this symbol. And this symbol means D, and then they're going to connect it later. The shelves in this picture, you notice they are labeled by the children, but they're all spelled correctly. That's because this is not phonemic awareness. This is not phonics. This is letter naming fluency. The teacher wrote it out for them and they copied it. So when a child is copying text, that's still a valuable skill, but they're not learning to decode words or they're not learning the phonics part of it. This is letter naming fluency. Great preschool skills. And it has meaning to them because they were like, oh, I wrote something that means something and my teacher put it on the shelf. And then into kindergarten, second grade, letter naming fluency. Again, with the kid, the little girl with the bow in her hair, that's my kid. And you can see I was her kindergarten teacher, and she put together these sight words because one of our center's practice was here's some sight words, make them on the tray with the magnets. Do I expect them to be able to decode it? No, but she could decode it well enough to write the sentence, you are my mom, which is adorable. And then she's practicing the fluency of not only those letters, but putting those words together. The little boy writing on the box, they were making a tunnel in the dramatic play out of boxes. And I was like, well, how are you going to know which way to go in and which way to go out? And he's like, oh, well, we need to label it. So we labeled one side enter, and then we went to label exit. And he was like, can you write exit? And I was like, yeah, but I don't know how to spell exit. And he looked at me with that look of like, why are you dumb? He's like, it's right there on that sign. And I, on purpose, like turned so I couldn't see it. I was like, oh no, I can't see it. How will I know what to write? And so he told me the letters and I wrote them down. And then I handed him a marker. And of course, he's using yellow, so you can't really see it. And he then had me tell him the letters and he wrote them down. Fantastic letter naming fluency practice. All right, in our last 7 minutes, writing, putting words onto our words, thoughts out into the world in a way that like lasts. Infant Todd's, good news. This video, not my kid, it's Jared's kid. But this is what writing practice can look like in that infant Todd. So cute. I love it so much. It's like she's not making any sort of mark that means anything, except she's learning that when you make marks, that means something. One of the best things to do for infant Todds when you're thinking about building a writer is practicing tactile things in a wide variety of ways, especially grip. So I've got a spray bottle on here, great way to practice grip, those resistance toys, different textures when you're using different writing tools. So like chalk versus a whiteboard, great practice. That picture on here is like those foam blocks, but it's on a table. And I was like, wouldn't that be so much fun? The foam blocks on the table and then some dry erase markers, and they're tracing all of that different motion. So then we get into preschool, and I've got 2 videos here, but we're going to skip over them because we're running out of time. But for preschool, you really want children to be able to identify, like, I am a writer. And when I write something, it means something, and start to make connections and start to perceive, like, how do I hold my pen? How do I hold the thing that I'm writing with? Very fun fact, by the way, I asked the Letters Early Childhood authors when I was with them in May, I was like, what's the deal with pencil grip? Like, is pencil grip really important for them to hold it a certain way? And here's what they told me. It's less about how your fingers look and more about which muscles you're using to control the pencil. So if you are holding a pencil this way, can you control it with just your fingers? Not really. You're using your whole arm, and that's going to get tiring. You're going to be exhausted. That's why we encourage the tripod grip, because it's the most efficient. But if you have a kid who's die-hard, they're going to hold their pencil this way, well, as long as they can control it by moving their fingers and not their entire arm, great, sounds good. Hold your pencil that way. Be thinking about how you can help kids and support kids to hold their pencil in a way that makes sense so that they can move it with just their fingers instead of their entire arm. All right. What are you going to write? Finally, writing kindergarten through 2nd grade. This is the bloom part of it. They've established a lot of skills. Now you get to watch them bloom. But we want to make sure that handwriting is getting lots of practice so that it's very automatic. You're not using all of your energy trying to figure out how to form the letters, because that's very automatic. Which is why punctuation, capitalization, that is a good thing to practice frequently, because you want it to have some automaticity, so you don't have to think about it when you are writing. Finally, I want to end with this video here of some literacy practice during outside play. So this was a video I took at a Head Start in South Jordan. This teacher she sings in English and in Spanish, and I would like you, as we watch, to notice her feet, notice the hands of the children, and how she is pulling in, without even trying, rhythm and pacing and 2 languages worth of phonological awareness practice, building literacy during outside play.
What are you doing? No, it's not. You are eating. What are you saying, Noah? Oh, okay. Juguemos en el bosque mientras el lobo está. Lobo, ¿qué estás haciendo? Noah, what are you doing? I mean, Wolf, what are you doing? A hammer. Oh, you're wolf. Okay. Juguemos. Oh, okay. Juguemos en el bosque mientras el lobo está. Lobo, ¿qué estás haciendo? You ready? You ready? Lobo, Wolf, what are you doing? Okay? Okay, next one you have to come in for your friends, okay? Juguemos en el bosque mientras el lobo está. Wolf, what are you doing? I'm smashing a tiger. Smashing a tiger? Really? Juguemos en el bosque mientras el lobo está. Lobo, ¿qué estás haciendo? You need to talk for them. You're never gonna hear me. Go!
I watch her feet every single time she's stomping on those syllables. They're bouncing their hands. I could nerd out about the practice in that video all day, every day, but we don't have time. Just please take away with you, big kid skills don't have to be exclusively for big kids. There are lots of opportunities to practice these things in the classroom and with your children in play and throughout your day. It doesn't have to be big, fancy. You don't need special tools, but you can be building literacy always, all the time. And then there are some sources and resources. So all of this information will be in the resources folder eventually. And let me just say thank you so much for coming. Thank you for listening to my lengthy exposition of words. Really appreciate it. And I will be in the preschool, in the exhibitor hall in the preschool booth. So if you want to stop by, ask me any questions, nerd out with me, watch one of the videos of my kid that we didn't get to watch, come on by. I'd love to talk. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.